All right, everyone, let's grab our seats. The big moment's about to begin. You've probably heard of people building apps, but tonight we're talking about building agents. So without further ado, please put your hands together to welcome the brains and energy behind it all. Jinen Dedhia and Divyesh Kharade. Over to you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much, AI. Okay. There are some problems AI can't solve. Why don't you start and I'll take it later? Yours is already up. Yours is already up. So we don't want to. I will not use that. So okay, thank you everyone for joining. I think everyone is here, more or less, and then some people are yet to come, right? So thank you so much for all for joining us. What essentially, like, we're just moving into the AI world, right? So we've been a technology company since last 17 years, and one of the things that has kind of things that we have seen, right? We started back in the day when we were on mobility. So, the devices back in the day were Nokia devices. We called them as Java-enabled devices. Those were the ones which had come up. And we had actually begun the journey during the mobile times. So internet came somewhere in 90s, and we moved on to, by the time like mobile came, that's when we really started hitting the market. And post mobile, the biggest, I think, the groundbreaking things, etc., that we are seeing is AI, right? And what exactly, like, because of these shifts, right? Most technology companies every 7 years they have to keep, like, doing new things. Now, many of us here are our customers here. Some of them are our partners. Some of them are like, I think we have few of our investors also joining us, and so on and so forth. So, what is essentially, like, what we're looking forward to do at this today is, like, walk you through what exactly, like, what we have in store for in AI. What are we doing? And what we had also done is, so just for show of hands, I'm assuming most of you people are using AI at this point in time, right? Bare bones, chat GPT at least, right? So this would be something of interest to a lot of our customers who are actually, like, who are riding on top of a lot of data, and now you want to do something more meaningful with AI. So our journey has been from apps to AI, and right now we have a relevant play, extremely relevant play in both the segments, which is applications and agents. So one thing which is extremely important over here is, like, when we in the application space, we started as a pro code player, right? We have our own till date, right? We have our own JavaScript SDKs. We have the whole suite, what we call as an application suite, for you to actually create full-fledged applications, right? And as a result, one thing which is, like, that is actually moving along from this point is, like, we transition from pro code to low code space. So it actually enables somebody to really build applications in, like, say less than a day's time. That is the promise, right? But somewhere down the journey, we actually started hitting with vibe coding tools, and there are, like, just with the natural language prompts, you can actually go ahead and you can start building crazy UI within, say, 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and there we go. So in that journey, we basically, like, what we see right now is, like, there is a lot of with natural language prompts, you are able to create applications, but they're not full-fledged applications. So today what we'll do is we'll cover two journeys today. One is on the agentic side of things. What we have done is a very, very, we have packed it up with a lot of great demos, right? This is not going to be, like, not a lot of PPT stuff, but something that you can actually take away with, like, what is the art of possibility. right? And these are all live use cases. Some of them are live use cases. Some of them are probably created for demonstration purposes. But in the context to enterprises, I think you should be able to relate to most of these cases. So that's where we are, right? And then the second part, like, we'll try to cover in the last 10-15 minutes, sneak peek into one of the new tools that we are actually working on. So that's how we are going to be. So over to you, Divyesh.
Hello. Let me multitask and operate the screen as well. So what we are launching today is DronaHQ agents. So what happens is, if you understand what agents are, right? Traditionally, we have been building apps, and what we believe is going ahead, right? Maybe a year down the line, 2 years down the line, we are not going to be needing as many apps that we are building at this point of time. We are going to offload a lot of our use cases, our jobs, our kind of workflows to agents. Now, what are agents, and what are we doing in the realm of agents is what we'll look at, right? So, question number one: what are agents? So, what we feel is AI agents are nothing but extremely close to what humans do at this point of time, right? And they are only getting better at mimicking what humans do. So a few differences, right? For example, if I tell you to read a sentence, you'll take it around 10 seconds to read a sentence on a page, right? But at the same time, an AI agent can skim through millions of documents, thousands of documents, and give you an answer about what you are asking. So first is speed. Second is accuracy, right? A lot of times we see humans doing a lot of mistakes about answering something or doing some jobs, which of course with hallucination AI agents also do that, but they're only getting better. Models are only getting better. So accuracy is something that we count on when we look at agents as well. Scale, right? So something that a human can do, let's say a customer service bot, right? A human can handle only a single customer at one point of time. AI agents can handle thousands of customers at the same time, and you can scale them as in when you want to add more customers talking to your agents as well, right? So there are some differences that we see where agents score. Of course, there are places like emotions, ethics, etc., where humans score. But at most cases where we see humans operating on an SOP, taking decisions, etc., we see AI agents taking over and doing a lot more better job than what humans do. So let's look at some things that we see how agents are evolving and how they are mimicking humans at doing the jobs. So first is reasoning, thinking, and planning. So let's say we take up, we offload some job, we ask a human or a person to do a job, right? The first thing that we do is a person reasons what the person is asking him to do or her to do. They start thinking and they start planning. A simple job like, for example, asking an answer about some knowledge or doing some job. So let's say I want to add a lead into my CRM. Now, if I'm asking someone to add a lead into my CRM, the first thing that a person does is it reasons what the person is asking him or her to do. They start thinking about what I have to do, and then they start planning. So the planning steps would be, and then they come out with steps. The steps would be, I have to go to HubSpot or whatever my CRM is. I have to open the CRM. I have to log in. I'll have to add a lead, click on add a lead, and so on and so forth, right? So that's something that AI agents are doing really well right now. They are reasoning, thinking, planning, and they're doing it at a fraction of what humans are able to do. Second is having conversations, like asking for clarifications, having conversations, having follow-up conversations, doing things. They are also able to do a lot more of that. So we see chat interfaces. We see a lot more of chat interfaces that we see, and over a period of time we are going to realize that we are not talking to a human at all, because they are conversing in natural language, and it's only growing to be voice bots as well, right? It's not only text and chat, it's going to be voice that's coming up as well. So having conversations, they are able to reason, think, plan, and converse at the same time, right? They're able to work independently as well. So you let's say, for example, I want to do something every day morning. I want to pick up a job and do, let's say, emailing to customers who are have their next let's say a bill payment pending, right? So they are able to work independently and take decisions as well. So that's one more quality. Take decisions and actions. Now what this means is, like I said, I have to open HubSpot, I have to log in and do a lot of these stuff, right? These are taking actions. When I am done with my planning, when I'm done with my thinking, I want to take actions now. I want to actually go ahead, search for something, take an action, do, call some tools, open some links, do some things, right? So taking actions is a very critical thing that agents do, and they do it using tools. So you provide agents with tools, and they are able to call tools at runtime. They are able to do these. So tools could be checking my Google Calendar if there is a free slot, adding an event into my Google Calendar, adding a lead into a HubSpot, sending an email. It could be, you can think of it and it could do things, right? So taking actions is a very critical, feature that agents have. Knowledge. Next is knowledge. So like humans, for example, when we actually have to do some job, we look back at what knowledge we have had. So it could be writing code, it could be something that we already know at the back of our mind, but we are involuntarily using things that are there into our knowledge bank, right? So we can provide knowledge to agents as well, and I'll also show you or demonstrate how it happens and how we can train or give knowledge to an agent, and then they can use that at runtime. Next is remember and improve. So let's say if we are having a conversation, right, and we've already had one conversation, and we go back and come after a few days, there are times when you will remember what our conversation was, and the next time we can pick up from that conversation itself. That's called as context in the realm of AI, where the agents are able to remember conversations. They are able to go back and see what into their memories of what happened in the previous conversation, what this user does, what is the background of the user, and so on and so forth, and they're able to improve their conversations, they're able to improve their actions. So we'll basically showcase some agents, and unless you want to talk something, and then we can go to the demos. What you see on the screen are some of the agents that I have built, demonstrated. It's basically a lot of demonstrations, lot of demos, and I'll show you one by one what we spoke about, right? What we spoke about, we'll demonstrate one by one as to how agents react, right? Let's take one of the first ones as a RAG agent. When I say RAG, it's retrieval agent basically. So there is some kind of a knowledge that is given to an agent. It could be your product documentation, it could be your PDF files, it could be links, it could be anything that you can basically give as a knowledge to your agent, and it's able to basically digest all that knowledge and then answer semantically. So when I have a conversation, it could mean something else, but it will basically catch its context and retrieve at runtime from the knowledge, and it will basically give me an answer. So what I have here is basically it's a dealer agent. So I have in my knowledge base, it's taking a little time to reflect because I'm sharing my screen. Yeah. So this is an anatomy of what an agent has, right? First, an agent takes instructions or system instructions as an input. So like we like we have, let's say, a human doing a job, right? They have some kind of an instructions with them. So let's say if it's a customer support agent or a user, they know that I have to support the customer, I have to be cordial, I have to be, empathetic, I have to answer in some way things that I don't want to answer, and so on and so forth. These are instructions that you provide to a person who's doing a job. Here we are providing instructions to an AI agent, right? Now I have some instructions where I have some strict rules, I have some content that I have provided, refusal policy, attribution, references, and so on and so forth. I have given instructions to the agent. I have selected a model. The models could be OpenAI, Anthropic, Google. There's a little lag. Yes.
So, okay, for
Yeah.
all the people who are into manufacturing sector over here, just in case, this might be of interest because you might be having, say, dealer network and your whatever downstream systems, right? So this might be, yeah. So let's.
Yeah. So in this we have basically a couple of assets that I have put in. These are the models that we are using. There are some settings that we can do, and I have, if you see at the bottom, that's the knowledge base that we have provided to the agent, right? Now let's go ahead and ask some questions. Yeah. So if you see, that's the playground where we have the chat agent. The triggers could be anything. Yeah. So there's a document that I have uploaded. There are a lot more documents there, which is about an LPG dealership and what it needs for a dealer to do things. Right? You can just click any of these. Yeah. So things like how much stock do I need to keep when if I have to be a dealer, right? And it'll, so what you're seeing right now, it's doing thinking. It's, if you just open this piece, so it basically thought about what the user is asking, what do I have to do, what are the steps that I want to take, and then it will go ahead and execute those, right? The next, you can just minimize this. The next step, I can just minimize that. Yeah, the next step that you see is the knowledge search, right? So it identified that I have to look into my knowledge. I have to figure out from my knowledge base the question that the user is asking, and I have to find, and then I have to respond back. It has basically found, it says based on the information in my knowledge base, the dealer must hold a minimum stock of 3 days supply, 10 new connections, etc., etc., right? So that's one. If you ask another question saying what are the infrastructure requirements that I should have to be a dealer, right? It's a set of PDF documents. Those PDF documents are having the prerequisites. Though it's basically an agreement for a dealer. It's a contract that a dealer signs when they get onboarded. It has their margins, it has their stock supplies, what infrastructure they need to maintain, where it needs to be, and so on and so forth.
So while I think this is the dealer's document that I think we have.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is basically reformatted the response. What kind of office space do you need? What is the go down that you would need? What vehicles you need to kind of have, and so on and so forth, right? And it can, and you can give a lot more documents, a lot more knowledge to it, and it can basically have a conversation with it, right? So that's basically a retrieval thing. Now this is where we have given a document, right? There is,
You want to just quickly touch upon the knowledge base once?
yeah.
Yes.
So this is a place where you add knowledge to your agent, right? Now, if you see on the left hand side, there are files. There is a Q&A if you want to give. There is text and there are links, right? So like you asked if I can add links. Yes, I can. And I can add a whole website. It will crawl the website. It will capture all the links. It will scrape the content, and it will basically do a vector conversion, and it will basically push into the vector DB. that depends on what it has. So of course it'll accept any links, but what kind of content?
Sample, handwritten documents that we have
Yeah, yeah.
uploaded inside. That would be very exciting. So, Divyesh, you want to?
Yeah, so we'll go to that as well. Let's see. Yeah, it can it can do both. It can do both. So right now I'm not demonstrating a voice agent, but it can do both. So what you're seeing on text, right? So what happens is there is an adapter on against I mean on top of it, where it does text to speech and speech to text at real time. So while the answers are streaming or your question is going ahead, you can ask the question in plain English in a voice. It will convert into text. It will push to an agent, and whatever the agent responds, it will give you back in a voice. So all that happens real time while we are doing, and it is basically behind the scenes the engine is the same.
Okay, there are a couple of more questions.
There are images, text, tables, content in tables, charts. So that's what we do. So when we basically upload these documents into a knowledge base, so this is what I was just trying to show. These are the files that I have uploaded. It has a lot of things. It has images, it has text, it has charts, it has tables. Yeah. So let me open this. So if you see here, this is one of the PDF. It has images, it has a diagram, it has tables, it has content in tables as well. So it could be this, it could be yes, yes. So I'll demonstrate that as well.
We'll do that. One.
So let's
Easy one. So there is a handwritten note.
no, let's go to this.
Okay.
So let's. So I think this is the document that it is referring to. Now if you see here, this is a table, right? Now this is a table about ball bearings, and there are dimensions and some deflections, right? Now let's pick up one of the ball bearings, which is type 623EL3, right? And if you see on the left, there are dimensions, which is D0, D1, and there is a legend at the bottom as well. So what it denotes, so if you see here at the bottom, there is a legend. D0 is outer diameter, inner diameter, and so on and so forth, right? So let me just ask 623EL3. Okay. It's giving outer dimension 9.8, inner dimension 6.2, and so on and so forth, right? Now this is the document which was provided. Nowhere it is mentioned that D0 is outer, and then yeah, if you see here, yeah, and the legend is at the bottom. So this is basically a RAG agent where you give your, let's say, specs, you give your URLs, whatever that you can feed. It's basically knowledge for the agent, and it can access documents, links at runtime across different, create a context, and give you an answer which is a segregated, I mean, which is a aggregated answer. Yes. So I'll show that as well. So that's where we are coming to the next demonstration, right? What we spoke about is a RAG agent right now. There is comes to your second question, which is an SQL agent, right? Now, when you say SQL agent, it could be any database as such, right? But let me open that use case as well. Yeah. So so if you see here, on the right hand side, I have provided tools. Now we just spoke about knowledge, which was at the bottom, which we added to the agent. On the right hand side, we have tools. Now when you look at tools, right, we can add tools which are either your database calls, directly your databases. It could be Mongo, Postgres, MySQL. It could be any database as such, as well as it will have tools which are ready tools. So it could be your Google Calendar, your CRM. There are 5,000 plus tools that we have which you can connect. Here it could be Twitter, Airtable, it could be anything. Right now here I have a few. It's a table basically. It's a database of. It's an HR master, right? And I can do things where I have some instructions of what it is allowed to do and what it should do, and I can basically go ahead and kind of manage my database directly from here as well. So let me give you a small use case, right? Very simple question to it. Yeah. So if you see thoughts, it will give you what it actually did, what kind of thinking it did in the background. It decided that this is the tool call or this is the database call that I have to make to get the answers for what the user wants, and it basically got the list of things. Right now, let's say if I want to have a conversation saying kind of figure out better if it's a tabular format. I feel a tabular format is better. Now what it does is it gives me all the data in a tabular format, and I can go ahead and do a lot more. Right now I'm having a conversation. Now this is not a workflow which is set already, which is created already. Right? I'm doing a conversation in real time. Let's say hey. Yeah. So when I said, can you promote Salma to engineering? It said it doesn't seem like engineering is currently listed as a department, right? So I can have a conversation. Let's do sales. Yeah. So it's decided that change employee department is the call or is a tool that I want to use, and it has changed uh, the department to sales. Right now, let's say I wanted to say, hey, this is what I meant by context when I said earlier the context of a conversation, right? Now the answer, the question that I have said is, sorry, I wanted it to be management. Now this sentence, sorry, I wanted it to be management, in its own self doesn't mean anything, right? But in a context of my conversation or a memory, it means something to the agent, right? Now when I send it, if you see the thoughts that it has now gone ahead and changed it to management as well, right? So now, while having a conversation, now the difference between a set workflow and an agent is able to do, think, and take decisions and use tools at its disposal at runtime. Vis-a-vis a workflow is able to do only tasks which are predefined that you think that the user would want to do, right? But the user would want to do anything. A different use case which I'm not able to show at this point of time is an SQL agent, which is a real-time SQL agent where you just connect a database and you ask questions. It will basically create SQL queries at runtime and it will fire and give you the results.
Get me the status and update me over here.
Yes. Yes.
Paka.
Yes.
So
ideally, when you ask for a tracking, right, you'll have a tracking ID or a number or something
I have a
that the
tracking
user.
ID, and I'll tell you the partner also.
Yeah.
That is not stored in my database, right? My database only. I'm not hit the tracking status. I'll ask your agent to give me the status update.
Yeah. So as long as there is a tool, for example, if it's a search, for example, or it knows which URL to go to, or you have some kind of an API or anything, right, that it has access to, it can go ahead and get things at real time and give you a digestible answer back to the user. That depends. So if you see the URLs, the knowledge base that we kind of digest, right, it also goes through CAPTCHA. It also goes through dynamic pages as well. So for example, if there are static pages, it will easily read. There are dynamic pages where the data is not statically available with that page. It is dynamically rendered. In which case, what it does is it opens a headless browser. It opens the web page and then it crawls and scrapes and it gets. In a similar fashion, even with CAPTCHA, there are places where it can basically go ahead and enter CAPTCHA and answer as well and get to that page as well. In a similar way, we can debate what's the point of having robot.txt, right? But I think in a way in which the agents are evolving, I think there are companies coming up which are doing the way you do search engine optimization, right? You're similarly way you're doing an agent optimization as well, where a lot of people are discovering new products on ChatGPT, for example.
One more question, sorry. Let's say I upload a journey on the system. I say like create a booking on a platform, and I give it a PDF. Will it be able to go to the website and create the complete booking? Give me the response.
That depends on how the website is functioning. So if you have, for example, here I have tools. I don't know if is it still my screen?
It is yours. Yes.
Yeah. So let me just show you one more example, right? Which will give you a good idea of. Yeah. So if you see here, right now, what I have done here is it's a HubSpot CRM manager, right? Now, what this does is, let's say, for example, I have a lot of sales guys on the field, and I don't want them to go ahead and open a CRM, enter something, and do things, right? Now, I already have their calendar in place. So, what I will do now is, I have 3 tools that I have here, which is simple: Gmail, HubSpot, and Google Calendar, right? Now, let's say I have a meeting which I have set up at, let's say, 8 o'clock today. Okay. Now, I'll go and ask. Let me just check my HubSpot. Someone today at 8 p.m. Then you add them as a lead and also email them the infra requirements for the. So what I'm saying is, I have a meeting at 8 o'clock with someone. Now before I get into the meeting, I want them to be added as a lead into my CRM, which I will track. And I also want them to receive an email about things that I know I'm going to talk to them about in the meeting as well, right? Now it is basically thinking, planning what things they have to do. The first thing that it did is check my Google Calendar. I think it's taken from the memory. It's saying I have already done that. Let me do it again. So in the planning process, it has figured out what it has to do. It's checking the Google Calendar. It will check at 8 o'clock what meeting I have. Then it checked into the knowledge base. It did a create contact in the HubSpot and sent an email, right? It says I have successfully added Divyesh as a lead in HubSpot, emailed them the infrastructure requirements. The email includes details, etc., etc. Now if I go to HubSpot, do a refresh. Time, but let me check the email.
The internet is stuck.
Meanwhile, the template of the email, will it be created by AI only or?
It could be both. You could add it into your system instructions. You could add it into your knowledge, saying, hey, these are the email templates that I have.
In this case, what will happen?
In this case, I have given a few instructions of what to do while writing an email, but I have not given an email template. So if you screen share.
So, high level, like, what you're talking about is.
Yeah, if you see the email, right? Now, this is my email inbox. This is the email it sent me. This was the Google Calendar that it saw, and this is the lead that it created in HubSpot.
So the specifications, etc., are taken from the knowledge base?
From the knowledge base, yeah. So let's say I have a meeting with someone, and there are some points into the meeting which could be that we discussed, and I had some pointers or action pointers on me. I don't have to go ahead manually do things, find something from my knowledge from my database, send them something, and set up another follow-up and send an email, etc. Right? I can do all of that. It's like an assistant for me. I can just send some instruction and it will do the job for me.
Can my whole Google Drive be in knowledge base?
Yes.
So can I connect it directly?
You can connect Google Drive directly. Google Drive, Notion, SharePoint, whatever that you would have, and it will basically keep on syncing documents that you have into the knowledge base.
What about the security purpose? We are sharing about all the details.
So it's basically pushed into a database itself. It's not going to an LLM. It's basically captured and pushed semantically into a database. The way it works is, the way we do a database search, right? It works on a keyword. So I want to do a search into a database, it works on a keyword. The only difference here is this works on a semantic search. So it looks at the meaning of what you want to do, and it will search for the closest meaning of what it has into its knowledge base. So that's the difference in the way an AI vector DB works versus a pure keyword SQL DB works.
As you asked.
Yeah, this is RAG. This is RAG.
I just wanted to understand for this CRM connection when you are inserting something in CRM as a lead. So for that we'll have to give them access, or it will be done simply by.
Yeah. So if you see here, I have provided HubSpot access, and I have limited access to a few things that it can do.
So that configuration we can set as DronaHQ.
Yes. So if you go here, let's say add tools. Let's say if I go to add tools,
Access is already granted.
yeah, for HubSpot access is already granted. Let's say I want to give access to, let's say, Notion, and
For this, you basically must be having some kind of tie-up with them so that you are able to.
yes. So we already have their APIs connected. So let's say I want create comment, and I do an add tool. So if you see your Notion is added, it's not connected. I can go ahead and connect it.
Other Joe CRM and all those are also.
Yeah, it's
There are almost 5,000 odd tools. So yes, more or less you should get it. But more importantly, even if you do not see a specific tool, we have an open connector which helps you bring in any tool that you really need. A. B is like, MCP is the buzzword, right? So you will see a lot of players actually publishing their own MCP servers, be it Shopify, be it like, all the anybody who's riding on top of data will have an MCP server. You can bring in those MCPs as well. So yes, you had a question.
Yeah, as you said, this is a conversational AI, right? Bot. So you ask someone, so it doesn't ask the question that to whom you have a meeting. So that is a conversation actually. Someone means someone is a someone.
no. So I specified saying I have a meeting with someone at 8 p.m. So it looked into my calendar and found a meeting at 8 p.m.
Acha.
If it wouldn't, it would have asked me. I couldn't find anyone at 8 p.m. So it went to my calendar. It figured out who the meeting was with. It got the details and then pushed those details
Can
into.
we directly give the instruction that schedule a meeting to with the person and with the subject and kind of a thing will happen?
Yeah, of course. So if you see here, right, I have another bot which does the meeting scheduler.
Let us schedule, scheduler.
So let's pick.
So multiple to whom along with we have to do it will ask the questions. Let's make a conversation. Let us set up a meeting.
On Monday for half an hour
At,
3 and 5
mm,
So if you're looking for free slots, it has said these are the slots available.
mm.
I'll say 3:30 works the best. So just created an event.
Yeah, Jinen.
Ideally, you should ask, right, what is the event about and
Yeah, so that depends.
So see, that depends on the instruction set that you give. So I'll show one agent.
Here what it did is it said meeting with Divyesh. Successful schedule. I can give instructions saying, hey, these
So
are
by default, like the way in which Google Calendar works, right, just to add a
yeah.
person, just save it, will just create a
It will just create an event. Yeah. It's very similar. But if I give instructions saying, hey, what I need these 2-3 things which are prerequisites, it will basically ask.
So if you see this, right, behind the scene, like, here are the details that it really needs, right? So if you go ahead and if you instruct your, within these instructions, if you just tell, hey, here are the things that you need to pick from the context and pass this in this specific format, right, to that API, it will do exactly the same way, right? So
Can I add a mediator layer on top of
human in the loop, you mean?
No, not a human. Like whenever such kind of, let's say there is an agent for setting up a calendar event. Right? So not only like setting up
the
a-
mandatory things.
not only like scanning through your slots, right? On top of it, can we add some instruction that we should ask for like who all are required in that event, and is there a meeting room from the Google suite, right, available over there? What we should block it? Do you want it or not? Like such kind of conversation.
Basically, all the mandatory things
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the meetings.
Or also
Okay.
can we
Yeah.
add some rules set on top
Yeah.
of it, like all these questions used to be asked.
Yes. So yes, absolutely. So
If you see here, right, on the left, I have these instructions, right? It says, I have just given said identify calendar availability, select a slot, and book the meeting. Right? Now I can add a lot more instructions to this. I have also said every time a meeting is booked, I want to send a confirmation message on Slack on a channel, and also add to a Google sheet, right? It just logs that hey, this meeting has been booked from here, right? So it is following and doing exactly that. If I want to add a lot more things to it, I can add more instructions to it as well.
So in fact, if you are sending an email out, right, you also might want to have an email human in the loop. You might just want to check, hey, is this draft looking good or not good, right? So, I mean, we have one of the agent which is precisely doing that, right?
So we have an agent which does refunds for people on Stripe, right? Now I don't want people to, AI to take decisions on pushing a refund to a customer, right? So I'll put a human in the loop there. When I say human in the loop, whenever user says, hey, let's say my customer success, person says, hey, this is the user who, asking for a refund because they were, charged for something that they did not use or something, and please send a refund to them, right? Now, before it does a refund call, it will ask for a approval saying, hey, do you really want to do this call, right? So I can add those human in the loop instructions as well, and it will add. So a lot of times what happens is, let's say a customer success or a customer support has to do a lot of things, get some information, what has this user done on, let's say, Shopify, how much transactions they have done. So if I connect Stripe, if I connect Shopify, if I connect my 3-4 systems, for a customer support agent, they don't have to go to multiple systems and check, right? I can just ask and say, hey, give me details about this user's past transaction history for 1 year, and it will basically give you everything there, right? And could be more.
Can you do some analytics?
Yeah, of course. Like I said, right, it could generate SQL statements on the fly as well. So if you just connect to your database and if you say, hey, can you give me last month's top 10 customers for me, it will basically generate an SQL statement on its own.
From a best practice perspective, it is better that anything that you're doing at an analytics layer, you do it on a data lake or something which is actually not really going to slow down your production systems, right? So just keep those things in mind. But the idea is, the technical answer is yes. Practical answer is you need to think how you want to do it.
So guardrails is something even I was thinking about when you showed the employees example, right? Like if you go this to, if you share this with somebody who is not really good prompt engineer, right? They directly say something, it will turn up entire millions of rows where you give me list of all the employees.
No, there are cases, right? The data tables itself have got dropped. So,
So how do you add such kind of rules, even the PII data, right? There may be some cases where we might want certain people in the organization to access the PII. On top of it, certain people, let's say customer support, we don't want them to even access even a single bit of PII, right? How can we add such kind of rule set along with this on top of that?
So there are guardrails which we provide, right? So guardrails have different segments. So for example, offensive language, not going to some links that you don't want them to go. PII data, you could basically categorize PII into different segments like Aadhaar, I want to allow, or PAN, I don't want to allow. Even if you don't want to allow, you want to redact, or you want to just not answer, right? So those rules you can set up in your guardrails which you can apply. Secondly, you can also apply softer rules, like for example, don't mention competition. So a lot of times you have to give these agents to your customers as well. You don't want any references to your customers, and it will ask you, what are your top 3 customers. Accordingly, it will generate its own competition list as well, and it will not refer to any of your competition while answering to users as well, right? So there are multiple guardrails like these which are applied at the input level as well as the output level. So let's say you have an agent to do a very specific job, right? You don't want users to come there and ask things which are beyond its scope.
Blah blah blah, all of that you already traditionally if you're using say DronaHQ internally in your organization and you set it up in an enterprise scape, right? Then you have all of that any which ways as a context. So you can use this. We have introduced the softer ways of actually embedding those things inside this, right? So that's another one.
I have another question.
Yeah.
Does it do recurring basis also? Like say for a logistic, we have a support team, right? Their job is to find all the orders which are in transit status. We have to send that report to the customer, then customer say, okay, drop the mail. We have to talk to the aggregator. So can all three things do at a one-time and recurring basis every day, let's say 10 a.m.?
Yeah, so the chat interface that you saw, right, is one of the triggers. So we have something called as triggers. What triggers does is, you can add multiple triggers to an agent. One is the chat bot that you see is one of the interfaces. You can do a cron schedule as well. So let's say every day at 10 a.m. you want to, the agent will wake up, do some repetitive task and finish it off, or maybe every hour you want it to do, etc. Right? That's a scheduler. There is something called as a webhook as well. So when you say webhook, you can use it into your own actual applications as well. So let's say doing refunds and you want to have the agent to do refunds, but you want that to be triggered from your application, right? There is no human conversing or anything. Your application in which you do something and then it triggers an agent and it does things, right? So that is a webhook. Along with that, there are multiple triggers that we are providing, which we have not done till now, but we are doing just like tools. One could be an email trigger, right? It will basically keep on scanning your email and doing things. So let's say if you have a specific email for receiving invoices from your, let's say, suppliers, right? You can basically put a scanner on that email. Every time there's an invoice, it will read your emails, it will pick up your invoice, it will push it into your procurement systems, it will check if it's a duplicate, etc. Depending on your instructions, it will keep on doing that, and that becomes your trigger. Where an email is received, that becomes your trigger as well.
Let me make it more complex, right? When somebody is trying to make a payment, lot of payment gateway, what they does, they deduct the money, but they don't inform the system, and then again try to retry the system. So can agent integrate with my database, identify when there has been a trigger of a payment is not deducted, but he got a confirmation. Can both the case handled by your agent? But can it talk to my database real time?
So these are tools. So talking to a database or querying a database is a tool.
नहीं रियल टाइम की मैं बात कर रहा हूँ. जैसे मैं आपकी जीपे पे 5,000 देने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ, राइट? मेरे को कंफर्मेशन आया 5,000 कर गया, लेकिन मेरे सिस्टम को लगा कि पेमेंट कटा नहीं है. And but once there are two parallel systems. One which says payments deducted, one says order not confirmed. Can agent talk to both systems at the same time? It doesn't have to wait for my instructions.
It can talk to both systems.
Same time, because हमें क्या होता है ना, एंड ऑफ द डे हमें क्वेरी चलानी पड़ती है कि किस कस्टमर ने पेमेंट देने की कोशिश की थी और किसका फेल्ड हो गया, तो हम फेल्ड को फिर मैसेज ट्रिगर करते हैं. तो आप कह रहे हो कि रियल टाइम कोई अगर पेमेंट देने की कोशिश कर रहा है, एक सिस्टम बोलता है पेमेंट आ गया और एक एपीआई कहता है पेमेंट नहीं आया है, तो बोथ
you trigger an agent, that agent will check into both systems.
पैरेलली चलना चाहिए. मैंने सुबह बोल दिया कि पूरे दिन भर में अगर कोई पेमेंट टू एंड फ्रो होता है तो सेम टाइम कस्टमर को ट्रिगर जाना चाहिए और मुझे भी पता चलना चाहिए.
Yeah, so you have to trigger the agent, and at that time when the payment happens.
Just to answer your question, right? Agent, you can configure your agent to be always listening.
Yes, that's the point.
Right? So if you configure your agent as always listening 24/7, and if somebody is telling this agent that, here is a failed transaction, XYZ are the additional parameters or the metadata about this, then it can, and then whatever is the sequence of things that it's supposed to do, it will do that particular thing. So you got to configure your agent that way and give the right set of whatever the follow-up instructions.
What?
Yeah, please.
So what is a normal tag for your agent to adopt any new sector? Let's say our sector specific content metadata and your agent getting trained on our only data. So normal the shelf life to get up and running for it.
So there is nothing sector specific that is there. It's completely agnostic. What you have to do is you have to push your own documents, you have to push your own URLs that, whatever that content that you want to train it on, right? And it will get basically up and running in minutes, seconds.
And it can, say, accommodate the data which are unstructured also.
Yeah, unstructured data as well.
So what we are not doing over here is we are not an LLM. We are not creating a fine-tuned model for you, right? We are riding on top of a fine-tuned model. It could be a large language model. It could be SLM, right? So let's say you create your own model. You want to bring that in. Idea is and then you want to build the agentic layer on top. This platform is very, very specific to helping you create that agentic layer. So we don't deal with the training of the data, but what we deal with is if you have trained data sets, then what you can do on top of this.
So it will basically ingest documents, URLs, whatever knowledge, whatever things you have, your SOPs, etc.
PDFs and this thing.
PDF, unstructured data, right? So It doesn't need to have structured data. PDFs could have tables, PDFs could have images, they could have charts, could have content, multilingual content. It could be handwritten notes. So I'll show you, some of those, right? So it could be as complex as a doctor's prescription, right? Which is extremely handwritten note. You would not be able to read it, but it will give you, things that it can do, and I'll basically show it to you as well, right? That same description, right? The internet is a little slow. So it is basically explaining the whole prescription. What are the patient details? The concern is a neck mass, noted 2 months ago with no pain. The mass is located on the right lobe of the thyroid. It feels stable with no tenderness. If you see here, I don't think you'll be able to read it in this. But further diagnostic tests, thyroid function, conclusion, and so on and so forth, right? So it can ingest prescriptions, handwritten notes, bills. For example, I want to do bills which are like this, which are completely handwritten, or invoices which are very complex, thermal invoices, multilingual. So this is in Japanese, and still answer back in English.
So now you can imagine, you can have an agent configured always listening, and let's say if an employee is just sending the invoice or the expense data to this particular agent, right? At real-time basis, this agent will then probably parse through everything, push a note into your whatever downstream system is. It could be Concur or whatever expense system that you are using, and this can make a a quick entry over there, right? And if you want to add some additional stuff like, hey, why don't you even check the authenticity of this bill? You might just want to bring in one more tool which could do that, right? It could be GPS location checker. All right? You can just integrate Google Maps into this, and these kind of tools could be eventually be made in no time, right? That's the idea. Just think about what is it that you really want to do, and now you have a full-time agent which is working for you 24/7, just taking care of all your employee expenses, right? And you can and this is going to be auto-scaled. So let's say you are a smaller organization, 200 people, one agent, maybe it's just going to work like that. And let's say you are a 150,000 people company. This can auto scale, because at the end of the day we are just putting this on on ECS kind of services, right? So that's the beauty of this. And more agents to
This could go on and on. But yeah, I think if you want to show the
one. So what we also have, one more thing over here is again. So, yes, please go ahead.
So, what is the age of your memory? How long
So there are two memories associated. One is a short-term memory, one is a long-term memory. Short-term memory is more conversational, where the current thread that you are talking about, it's a short-term memory which we keep it only till that conversation is alive, and then we summarize and we push it it's for a memory forever. Second is a long-term memory, which is about the user, tickets, and so forth, which is a selective memory, right? So let's say if I raised a ticket, or I had did a refund, right? Now it will basically summarize and keep it into the memory that this user had done some kind of a refund with these details, and it will keep it in its memory forever.
Okay, and these memories will be stored in which cloud, yours or the client?
Our cloud. So it could be anywhere, but right now this is a completely cloud solution, so it will be on our cloud.
And it is vector data.
Yes.
This is not on-prem, you are planning for on-prem.
Yes. There will also be an on-prem version for this.
Does it take videos as well?
Not yet. When you say does it take videos,
I mean, as a knowledge base.
no, we currently have only documents, images. We don't have videos as yet, or not even audios as yet. But we could take that. I mean, it's unless there is a use case, we can definitely use that to take it.
And links as Bishop mentioned.
Yeah. So it could be single links. It could crawl the whole website as well. So you just provide a single website link. You give it a depth, and you give it how many links you would want. It will basically keep on crawling multiple depths, and it will basically crawl, scrape, and create the knowledge base on its own.
So I still doubt if we'll be able to upload Figma links and then
We can try.
I think
We can.
that would be a good idea.
Yeah, there is no definite answer to it, but we can try and we can see. But what do you want to make out of it? I mean, if you want to upload Figma files.
Our use case will be to, so like Figma link will have a proposed design or some inspiration of design. So we want to make a dashboard completely out of that.
So you want to write code.
No. I mean, I'll give you two use cases. So we are product managers. So one of the pain points for a PM is PRDs. So I think if we give a Figma design, then will it be able to create a PRD out of it? That would be one thing. The other thing would be, okay, if I give a Figma design, can it convert it into a front end codes or not?
So the second part of your question, we'll be able to see it.
So, alright, so what we saw was general purpose agents, right? Now, what we want to essentially, the idea is you can think about that if you can train enough data, you can start building an AI system which can actually drive your car, right? So it's as powerful as it can get, right? So in the context to very powerful agents, right? We have already driverless cars, Waymos, etc. of the world who are driving on the streets, right? But you might want to imagine the second most powerful agents are actually coding agents, right? And these coding agents are essentially helping you create apps just from natural language prompts. Absolutely keep going on, keep iterating with the prompts, and you can eventually set things up, right? So we have two things over here right now. So one is we can pick up a design as a use case, and we can try in one of our earlier systems. But here we'll just do a simple natural language prompt, and we can take a look at what it really creates, right? So now you got to bear with me. This is actually a longer process. It takes about 8 to 10 minutes to really set things up. So I'm going to hit this up, but I'm going to switch to another tab, which is where we have already given that instruction, and you can see the output of this, right? So say an employee.
So just the question.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
So just to understand, if there are different functions in the organization, do we create separate, this kind of agent AI for different people, different programming? How does it work?
So
Different
the-
purpose, there are different.
Yeah, so the agents that we showed, right? Though you can give access to very specific users for that specific agent. So let's say you have a leadership dashboard, right? You don't want to give access to everyone of your data. So you can just select, these are the users that I want to give access to this agent, and only those users will be able to log in and access that. Similarly, you could build multiple agents for multiple use cases. You could also build a super agent which is accessing multiple agents below. So it will basically detect its intent and basically football or route it to a specific agent and give you answers. And that could also be user specific or group specific. So when you add users, you can add them as with groups. So you could make groups of users and basically give access specifically to those agents as well.
So,
So I think while we are starting, there is someone on YouTube who has asked a question which says, do you have a system where it can talk to a WhatsApp chat and get conversations there as well? So like I said, there are multiple triggers. WhatsApp could be one trigger. You can basically write a message on the WhatsApp. It will basically, an agent will be fired. Agent will do its thing and give it back the answer. That could be on a WhatsApp, on Slack, on Microsoft Teams. It could be anything.
Can we upload brand guide and entire documentation over here?
Yes. Yes.
Actually, we just need your, I think, one of the things that we were just...
If you have it on your website, you can just give it your brand guideline link as well.
So, okay. So, what I've done over here is I've just given a very simple instruction, okay, make me, an HR management sort of an application. And while it does the job, right, it's a little bit of a lengthy process. What I'm going to show you is one of the pre-built kind of a thing, right? So wherein a simple, again, similar context was given, just help me build, a Stripe refund tool, right? So for people who don't know Stripe is US equivalent of Razorpay, right? So now what we keep getting a lot of transactions on Stripe, and we want to give a simple tool so that somebody from the finance team can manage these kind of requests that, hey, they need to process a refund to someone, or there could have been a fraudulent transaction which needs to be refunded, and so on and so forth, right? Now, if you imagine, very, very simple prompt like build me a Stripe refund tool, right? Now, in the context to internal tools or internal systems, these are extremely, very, very relevant systems. And today, probably, if you go to most of the off-the-shelf available wipe coding tools which are available, you might just see a beautiful looking UI coming out from this. Nothing different. Probably what we are showing is probably in lines with the same thing, right? So now if you see this, right, probably...
So what it first did is it basically created a PRD. It you could change the PRD if you would want. You could add more features, delete if you don't want anything. Once you approve, it will go ahead and generate not only the whole UI, but we'll see what it generates as well.
Yeah.
Created the PRD?
A simple prompt that we gave, create a Stripe refund.
Yeah. So behind the scene, the agent is probably it's very, very specific to building internal tools, right? That's a space that we are in predominantly. So we help companies like yourself build internal applications. So in lines with the same, probably a lot of things have gone inside this. And if you see, it has thought through the UX, probably what you need, and it has also gone through what should be the visual guidelines looking like. But also, if you see, we have also given context to this, right? Who the user is. So if you see on my screen right now, right, it has already picked up who the user is and whatnot, right? So now what we are doing on top is very simply put, we are actually integrating this with our, the underlying low-code system, which inherently has all your enterprise data. You have brought a lot of your enterprise data systems into DronaHQ for a variety of reasons, right? You have already traditionally been building applications on top. So now what we've done is, if you see, most of these entire UI, we have kind of given you an entire rundown of all the components that we have actually built into this, which probably has been built by AI. And for everything that you see over here, you are able to actually go ahead and you can start binding your data in similar ways in which you have been using DronaHQ. So net, right, what you end up getting is once you see this, right, you get an entirely your whole code which gets generated, because these are all code gen engines, right? But they have all got eventually into our system of helping you with by binding your data on real-time basis. And as a result, what you really see over here is not just this, right? You can even actually access the events over here. So if you see, these are the events, and on click of a specific event, say let's assume on this particular event, you might also want to go ahead and you might want to start writing your own entire events and everything on top of this, right? So let me see what is happening on the meantime over here, right? This is still generating the entire thought process about HR, whatever that we have just instructed this to do, right? So build an employee master application.
So this is web app or your native app?
This is a web application. Output of this can be iOS, Android, and everything, because that's what DronaHQ has been giving, right? One single platform for building everything. But now what you're right now seeing is like, this is going to be a web application, which also, by the way, like, it's a great question, because what we are also doing is we will give you all integrations to all your native mobile features. So you can actually, with your command prompts or natural language, you can actually create offline applications with this, right? If your application does need any offline capability, for example.
So it is React, right? What you're coding?
Yes, this is all React.
Okay.
This is all React.
So currently we don't have to code it in the natives, or like we are not. We are not building it right now.
It will be a hybrid application.
Okay. Can you do the native also?
Not really. So, but the idea is there is a bridge between our iOS and Android, all our entire mobility stack, right? We have a bridge which is kind of exposed to this, to the agent, and the agent knows how to use this, right? So, like I said, our journey has actually, like, it started in the mobility era. So we have an entire stack of, what you call the mobile middleware, which is already available, and as a result, anything that you build with React on top, you should now be able to go ahead and create full-fledged applications on top.
But I feel the experience, it feels like a web app, and then the native app's experience is a little different.
There is a, somewhere around 100 milliseconds sort of, experience delay, but if you're building in the context of internal tools and internal applications, I don't think you will have a huge challenge. Just to let you know, till donkey years, Flipkart's entire mobility applications were on hybrid. Right, till the time, at some point then they decided to really switch it back to native, right? So, yeah.
This similar kind of experience is also available in your Drona system. You can also build out dashboards in this thing now, internal dashboards which we are building. So
yes.
By giving a prompt, we can, as you made for this trip, the similar kind of thing can also be built for our internal dashboard.
Yes, so you give a prompt which could do the job, but also what we have is another feature wherein you can actually bring in your design, and it will actually set up the entire thing within the low-code system. So both the things are kind of there. But not right now. I don't have this right now for demo because I don't have the Figma files or anything. But yes, that's something we can really pick it up offline. Oh, fantastic! But right now, yes.
After everything is done, then we can have it.
Yeah, sure thing.
Do we also have a support for different environments like staging, QA, or maybe product?
Yeah. So I think it's hidden over here, unfortunately. But yes, if you see, all the environments are there. You can set it up in whichever environment.
How will I link it to my backend DB database?
Yeah. So let me just show this to you in the system here. We have a connector system, so that allows you to you can self-host this, by the way. So, and we give you all popular connectors that you really need, right? Be it your Snowflake or Postgres or whatever that you need. So you can bring this all up within this. Yeah. So so now this will go on. This will take at least 8-10 minutes. But we just wanted to cover this is something that very, very brand new that we are coming out with. And we have a target to do enterprise, the self-host probably for this by early January or something, most likely. So all our self-host customers should start seeing this, right? Also embedded into this at some point, right? But yeah, this is how this is going to be looking like. So yes.
One small question. So basically, let's say because it takes around 8 to 10 minutes and
I'm assuming it is spending a lot of tokens on that. And after 10 minutes, I feel like ये नहीं चाहिए था मुझे. So, is there a way to for this process to first tell me that this is what I'm going to do, suggest me some alternatives, or ask me for modification, and then start building it?
No, that's a good question. So generally there will be right now configured like just go ahead and like do this. But yes, there will be human in the loop intervention available, so you can see whether the BRD is really looking as good. In fact, like we have somebody has asked us, can we just upload the BRD and the PRD documents, and can we really go from march from that particular point, right? So I think we are going to cater to both of these things. Yes.
Can we also see the number of tokens used in the analytics part?
Yes, so maybe Divyesh, you want to show that.
And yes. On every operation, you'll be able to see what tokens, input tokens it used, what output tokens it used, and what credits it consumed.
So, addition to this, how many tokens would we be having?
So it depends on the credits. So the way we are going to price it is you have to buy credits.
Okay.
Credits will give you tokens. Now, how many tokens, that depends on what model you use.
Okay.
Right. So if you use Anthropic Opus, for example, it will consume a lot more tokens. If you think you could do it with the GPT-4o, it will consume lesser tokens. Right? So the credit calculation is depending on what model and what provider you use, and accordingly the credit.
Yeah.
So I add up my own OpenAI key?
Yeah.
I'm already.
Yes.
Only for enterprise customers, right? So that's available. Yes, you can bring your own key. Yes. But yeah, I mean, like all the latest ones, including you can go to your Bedrock and you can connect and hook, or all the latest ones like Haiku or from Claude, etc. should be available, right? Which are like much more efficient and more token friendly. So yes.
So I just wanted to understand the background of that strike refund prompt that you just gave one line as prompt.
Just a single line, yeah.
When I go to this vibe coding UI development tool, so I just have to give one line, no more context, nothing. I have to give.
No, you should. I mean, you should not try this at home. I mean, you should give as much context as you can give so that it generates more appropriate response. And yes.
So as you told that your systems have been designed to make such internal dashboards.
But you still need to give context to what really you're trying to build, right? I mean, what we know is it's some internal system. So our context is always going to be limited and challenged, right? So it's better that you bring in the context, let it do the job, and then you can hook your data right into this. That's the thought process. But
if we already have like database connection established with Drona and we are giving this kind of prompt, so will it agent will also be able to map them both and do a function around it?
this is a V1, right? So more right now, like you can see if there is as you progress on this path, I think you should see all these things coming up. We should be able to give that right into the context.
So currently we are saying that it will only create the UI, it will not actually connect to my DB and do the operations.
You will have to manually connect it to the DB because we give you the entire component systems dictionary mapped over here, right? So if you see here, like let it create, it will actually give you an opportunity to just go ahead and map all your queries right into this, right? So that's a thesis. You create UI and you bind your data to this, right? Which is very different experience, and probably you might just do it on, say, a Gemini or probably like, say, Lovable or Replicates of the world. That's the differentiator.
So currently what we are doing at Drona is we are making UI also and connecting the DB also. So this will
yes.
ease in our first part. Second part we'll have to do.
I'll tell you the reason, right? When I talk to a lot of customers who have tried Lovable, right? Their pet peeve is it gives me a great output, wonderful looking output, but I cannot really connect and hook my data to this, right? So this is where I think, what we are trying to bridge. So we give you the good looking part from Lovable, but we also give you the data which probably we have, plus the governance that we have. So we already have your audit trails, we already have your single sign-on, we already have all your systems hooked into this, right? So that's the idea.
Can multiple people work on the same application?
At this point in time, you need to introduce Git, and via the Git you can lock, and like, yeah, that's how you can do this. But you know, multi people collaboration on a single thing right now, you need to take it to the Git and do this. Oh. We are on V1.
So, Jinen,
yes.
in the version you are mentioning, right?
Yeah.
January or February.
Yeah.
Roadmap, right?
So I said January, but you discounted us to February. I like it. Yes.
So, in that version, will it be possible, like if I add up my connectors and all the APIs and everything, right, and I provide a mock URL, let's say kind of like two, three different journey designs, right, of the same application, right, with a very good level of contextual logics and guardrails. Plus, I say that okay, this particular thing has to work with this particular connector. Will it be able to help me output a working application on top of it? Like right now, I see that if I only upload the image, they'll just give me the components, right? The DronaHQ component, they'll just plot and views.
Correct.
But it won't be
a fully connected system.
Plus,
Yeah.
there are some stuff that, like, if you have a simple form, right, employee form, name, gender, and everything, etc., right, you want to add some validations on top of it. I might have to add up. Okay.
Yeah.
Some custom validations that I of course, I did in my context, but on top of it, there is some computation logic I want to apply before putting inside my database, or something like that.
You know what, I mean, what we could actually do is, like, you know, because see, we are just on a V1 right now, we are not even launched this, right? So we could actually, like, you know, build one use case very similar, and then, like, you know, we can actually take it to production. That should be the endeavor. We can do a beta together, early beta, and then we can try this out. But the idea is we will be absolutely kicked, because this looks like, you know, something a lot of people would need, right? They just want to upload the Figma files, or they might just want to upload the entire user journey into this.
Right now the things are scattered at our end. Okay, like there is a team of people in product team, right? They build something using AI, the overall killer.
Right.
There is some people who are totally working on the UI UX part.
Right.
And there are some developers that
Correct.
are building it on top of our APIs and everything. So there are 4 different stakeholders.
Right.
With this,
So we got to tie it all together.
That would be much better.
So let me show you what it has done over here, right? It has generated a code. At the same time, it has also created an entire library over here, right? So on this library, like, you know, say everything it has tried to do. And then if I switch to a preview mode, probably, like, you know, I might need one refresh for it to really, let's do a quick refresh. See, this is what it has done, right? Let me just. Okay. So. Okay, so this is, you know, reacting up a little bit. So, but yes, we'll just do a quick reboot on this. So let's pick up a simple thing, right? Say all departments over here, right? Now this all departments right now, it has these drop downs, and if I want to change any of these things, right, I have a department table, right, which is coming from all departments. Right now these are the departments that we have actually put inside this, and if at all this can talk to a department master somewhere, right, it's just a matter of bringing in that particular query, and probably you can hook it up and you can do this. So that's how simple that this will really get. So right from events to data, you can just bind it to this, and as a result, like your net speed of building your application, right, full-fledged, and that too much better UI, even just on a single prompt. Your you should fast track this by probably like in flat probably like within half a day's time you should have all of these things sorted. If your data system is sorted, and within half a day's time you can have your application up and running. So yes, so here we are. Thank you so much. We can take more questions. This is like Saturday evening, I know. So Friday evening. I'm already on Saturday. So yes. So yeah, thank you so much for your time and attention. We have we can take questions and we can do offline stuff, but yes, food, drinks, everything is like available outside. So yes.
Just one check.
Yes.
Of course, there is a backend model running behind.
Yeah.
There is always a question of model may drift depend on the data which is.
Sorry, model.
Model may drift based on the data which is being.
Yeah.
How do we ensure that? And being pharma industry, it's not my problem.
Yeah.
We need to also ensure the validation part as well. So what validation studies do you have?
No, so okay, I think the problem with any AI system is they are not deterministic, right? They are probabilistic in nature. So the idea is like you need to ensure there is a good set of evals before you actually push anything into production. And with evals, I think you should be able to test out your entire system, and with guardrails, you should be able to do things. But it also depends on the kind of use cases that you're thinking, right? So, for example, like one of the things that we are working with a customer somewhere in GCC. What they are trying to do is they are not really pharma, but they are into pharmacies, right? And for every person who comes into the pharmacy, their use case is, let's say I don't have a drug, okay? And if I don't have a drug, usually it's a walkout, right? Because it's a no-show, I can't do much. But now what they're trying to do is, can I have a biosimilar for the same thing? And that's what they're trying to do. And of course, it will go through a longer cycle. Agents like this would need like huge eval cycle. Building is easy. Eval is tough. So yes.
So we are working on one of the document use case that we are quality documents getting verified.
Okay.
But interest was that restriction, correct?
Correct.
Still there is no assurance, correct? OCR will provide an accuracy, of course, but over the period of time, it may or may not.
Yeah, idea is yes. Over a period of time, this will only become better, right? That's the trend. That's the thing. But thank you so much. All right.
Congrats to you.
Thank you so much. How are you, Kiran? Good to see you. Okay, good.